On February 14, 2019, the Trump administration proposed new rules defining what constitutes waters of the U.S., or WOTUS, that are business and farmer friendly. Dave Aiken, UNL Extension Water and Agricultural Law Specialist, joined the program to discuss WOTUS and what it means for ag.
Waters of the United States, or WOTUS, is waters that are subject to regulation under the Federal Clean Water Act. And specifically, it's been most controversial when it has been applied to wetlands.
And who is required to obtain a Section 404 permit as it relates to WOTUS?
Well, typically it would be a real estate developer or a land developer that takes undeveloped land like farmland or ranch land and then converts it to residential or commercial property, something like that. And if there is any waters of the United States on the land to be developed, and if they're wetlands, for example, then before they can fill the wetlands, they have to agree to replace with new wetlands. Only 1.5 times as many acres are being filled. So if you're filling 20, you have to replace 30 acres. And that can drive up the cost of the project, as well as make the project take longer to implement because you've got to go through the environmental stuff.
And what's the effect of that 404 program on farmers or people in the ag industry?
Well, typically, most of the wetland issues have been handled through the Swamp Buster program. You know, that's part of the farm program. Occasionally, however, if a farmer is trying to bring land into production, they may get into an issue in terms of whether that's wetlands, whether it's prior converted to wetlands and this type of thing, and so it may end up being a 404 issue. But hopefully there's not as many for farmers who are just farming. Once it's converted to a non-farming, a non-agricultural use, then 404 usually can jump right in.
And what specifically would the proposed WOTUS regulations do?
Well, Troy, it would significantly reduce the amount of land that is subject to 404 regulation or 404 protection, depending on however you want to look at it. The big thing is that wetlands, in order to be considered waters of the United States, would need to have a direct surface link to a river or stream. And if they don't have that direct surface connection, like draining directly into the river or something like that, or through a channel, and most don't, then they would be outside of the 404 program and outside of the clean water protection.
Do you know of any specific places in Nebraska that have the potential to be impacted?
Well, in the past, you know, anything that was, any ground that was wet, either part of the year or maybe even all the year, would be potentially subject to 404. But that's, you know, that could be anywhere.
Okay, so next steps for wildlife groups or environmental groups who are opposed to this. What's their next step?
Well, they're very unhappy with this because a lot of the habitat protection would go away with this proposal under the Clean Water Act. And so as soon as these proposed rules become final, they will take it to court, and then it could be 2, 3, 4 years before it gets to the Supreme Court and we get a final answer.
So no concrete date as to when this could be resolved?
Well, this has gone back almost 10 years, back to some Supreme Court decisions. And so it's been, the Obama administration proposed regulations. Those have been tied up in court. The Trump administration came in with their own, and they will suffer the same fate.
To wrap up, if farmers have any questions about how they may be impacted or WOTUS in general, what can they do?
Well, if they have any questions regarding wetlands, they can contact either their local natural resource district or go to their local NRCS office.